Your patient needs 150 milligram of an intramuscular injectable solution. A vial of a solution with a dose strength of 250 milligram per 4 milliliter is available on hand. What volume of the on-hand solution should be administered? All right. What you could do, you could say here, if you have 215 milligrams out of every 4 milliliters, how many milligrams are there in 1 milliliter? What you do is divide. You have 215 divided by 4. There is 1 4 in 4. How many 4s are in 21? 5 4s are in 21. And 1 remaining. How many 4s are in 15? 4 into 15 goes 3 times 12, 13, and 3 quarters. So it's 53 point, and you must remember 3 quarters in decimal is 0.75. So this is 53.75 milligrams per 1 milliliter. Alright? 53.75 milligrams in every 1 milliliter. Okay, now let's look at the desired dose. Here you can see that you should administer more than 1 milliliter, because if you have 150 milligrams and you have only 53.75 milligrams, and this is 1 milliliter. The 150 milligrams will be more than twice, a little under 3 times, alright, the milliliter, or let me see now, 53 milligrams. Alright, so now here, almost 3 times, but not quite. But anyway, let's see what happens here. This was from previous work. What you do is say, how much more, how many times the milligram needed, how many times bigger, larger is the milligram needed. It's 150 divided by 53.75, right? This is how much times larger the milligrams that you will have. So it's 153 over 53.75. How much is that? Let's use our calculator and get that. So you have 150 over 53.75 equal 2.79 more. So it's 2.79 times larger. Alright, 2.79 times the milligram available. But now, here we're looking at 1 milliliter of the solution. So the number of times larger is the milligram is the same number of times larger is the milliliter. Right? This is the number of times larger the milligram. When you compare it, this must also be 2.79 times the milliliters of solution. So it's 2.79. Remember, this was 53.75 out of every 1 milliliter. So this is 2.79 by 1, which is 2.79 milliliters of solution. Now, another way you can look at this, alright, Suppose you just use ratio. And let us keep the 53.75 milligrams. It's a bit less stressful on the brain when you can look at how many milligrams out of 1 milliliter rather than how many milligrams out of 4 milliliters. Alright? So let's keep it as 1 milliliter. What we have here is 150 milligrams out of, you don't know how many milliliters yet. Alright? Forget about the 2.79 for a while. So you say X milliliter equals 53.75 milligrams out of every 1 milliliter. And when you cross multiply, you get X times 53.75 equal 1 times 150. So it's 150 milligrams multiplied by 1 milliliter equal 53.75 milligrams times X milliliters. Alright, so if you divide by 53.75, you get 150 milligrams multiplied by 1 milliliter equal 53.75 milligrams times X milliliter. And you divide by 53.75 milligrams. Cancel. Only X milliliters is left. Alright? But if you divide the right hand side, you must divide the left hand side also. So you're dividing by 53.75 milligrams. Milligram will cancel milligram. So you see milliliter is left. 150 divided by 53.75 is what? Let's see. So it's 150 divided by 53.75 equals 2.79. So we have 2.79 milliliters again. So you should administer 2.79 milliliters. Now, suppose you did not divide out and get the 53.75. You could still do it without dividing out, even though alright, what happened here? You're going to say you have 215 milligrams in every 4 milliliters of the solution. This is equal to 150 milligrams out of every how many milliliters? You don't know, so you say X. Alright? Now, if you cross multiply, or instead of cross multiply, let me say it like this. This time, you multiply by 4 milliliters. You have 215 milligrams over 4 milliliters equals 150 milligrams out of X milliliters. When you multiply by 4 milliliter, 4 cancel 4. And multiply this by 4 milliliters. Alright? Now, you can see milliliter cancel milliliter. Alright? If you consider that, you're going to get X without a unit if you do that. Alright? Now, here, if you don't consider the milliliter, let's just multiply by the 4 alone. Here, 4 multiplied so you multiply by 4. You multiply by 4. 4 cancel 4. We have 215 milligrams per milliliter equals 150 by 4 is what? 15, 4 is 60. 600 milligrams per x milliliters. Alright? I just multiply both sides by 4. I'm not going to interfere with the units. I just make the units remain. The milliliter and the milligram. Alright. Now the next thing I do, instead of just cross multiplying, you know, is the both multiplication one time, but I'm doing it them separately. Suppose you multiply by x, what happens now? You have 215 milligrams per milliliter times x equals 600 milligrams per x milliliter. I multiply this by x as well. X cancels x. So what you're going to have is 215 milligrams by x. 250 milligrams per milliliter by x equals 600 milligrams per milliliter. Then you divide by 215. So here, when you divide by 215, you get x. This will be milligrams per milliliter equal 600 divided by 215 milligrams per milliliter. What is 600 over 215? Let us see. (600 over 215 equals 2.79 again, or 2.79. Let me redo this last part, right? So without writing the units. So here now, ratio. You're doing it by ratio. You have 215 milligrams in 4 milliliter. It's just that I don't write the units here. Equal 150 milligram in x milliliter. Alright? So, if you multiply both sides by x, you get 215x over 4 equal 150. You're going to have it over x and times x, so x will cancel. So you have 215x equals 150. This will be over 4, but if you multiply both sides by 4, right, times 4, 4 cancels, and this times 4. You have 215x equals 150 by 4. Then you divide by 215. If you divide by 215, 215 will cancel itself. And here will be divided by 215. So x is 150 over 4. No, 150 by 4. I say over 4. 150 by 4 up here. Divide by 215. So this is going to be 600 over 215. Alright? So 600 over 215 again. And we use our look back at our calculator and see that 600 over 215 equals 2.79. 2.79. And you know that it will be in milliliters. Alright? Alright, so I'll see you in the next video.